Hello everyone, Jason Lawrence here. It's been a while since I've made a video. I apologize for those of you that are disappointed by that. And I very much appreciate the fact that there's people out there that have, maybe been waiting for me to make a video. The video that I wanted to make today is going to talk about the hurdles of becoming a home builder, or the hurdles of building a spec home. Not that I'm trying to put out negative energy with anything, because that's definitely not my style if you know me. But I do want to kind of put out there some of the things to expect and some of the things that you're going to have to deal with. I think it's just good to kind of know everything up front. And also, in addition to that, I do want to say this. I just had this random thought this morning when I was getting ready about the home building industry itself. Because I a lot of times do get the question, should I build my spec home now or should I wait? Until interest rates drop, until maybe the market picks back up a little bit more. And as of right now, February 20th, 2024, the market is still great. We're building a lot of homes. Existing home sales are still good. As far as I know, at least in my area, existing home sale prices have not dropped. Prices are not dropping. And I guess my answer to that would be kind of the same as when a customer says, should I build now or should I wait until prices are going to come down? And my response to that is always, prices are never going to come down. And I've actually looked back in the past few years just to kind of, break a few things out. And I kind of came up with some numbers as far as how much more it costs to build a new home today, February 20th, 2024, compared to 1 year ago today. And then even going back another year before that and a year before that. And it's been an increase of about 10% per year. Whether you are looking to have a home built or you're considering building a spec home, there's never a better time than now. And I know that can maybe sound salesy. And I always tell people, look, I'm not trying to push you to do anything, but the prices are never going to go down from where they are right now. Interest rates, yeah, they may go down, but you can always refinance. So if you're building a spec home, now is the best time because the market is still great. The building costs are going to be more the longer that you wait, which means that's more money that you have to put down out of your pocket. One of the hurdles that we're going to talk about is how much money you have to have in order to be able to build a spec home. And the more expensive it is to build a spec home, the more money that you're going to have out of pocket. But the thing that I was thinking about specifically as I was getting ready today, and it was a great thought. So I've been involved in the building industry since the mid-90s. I started working for, my dad worked for another builder, and I started doing odd jobs for this builder in the 90s. And then here I am today, 2024. But if I go back to when I was, 14, 15 years old, working for this other builder, and even going back a little bit before that, kind of knowing how things were even before I started working for the builder, let's just say 1990, the home building market has been amazing between 1990 and 2024. So that's 34 years. Now, yes, we did have one housing recession to add into the mix there. So in 2008, we had a really bad housing recession. I'm sure a lot of people remember that. That still scares certain people. And that may or may not happen again. We're bound to get some type of housing slow at some point. Who knows if it would be on the scale of 2008. But my point is, and my thought process is, okay, in the last 34 years, if we go back to 1990, aside from 2008, 2009, which by the way, we started our home building company in 2009. We built our first spec home in 2009. We sold that spec home. There's still demand, even in a down housing market, and we built our business from there. We go back and we say 34 years minus, let's take out 2008, 9, 10, 11, 4 years. So if we subtract the 4 years, we've had a great home building industry for 30 out of the last 34 years. That is pretty darn good. And so if this is something, being a home builder, building a spec home is something that you maybe wonder to yourself, boy, there are risks with it. And there definitely are risks with it. There's no guarantee, maybe the market does fall a little bit when you finish your home, and maybe it doesn't sell for a little while. Maybe you don't end up making anything on it. But the 30 out of the last 34 years being a great home building market, I think that's a pretty good statistic. Let's get back to what some of the hurdles can be. Well, I touched on it a little bit before, but the first hurdle would be financing. In order to get financing from a bank, a lot of banks are going to want to see that you have home building experience. Some banks may say, you know what, after you've built 5 homes, come back and see me. And then you would say, well, how am I supposed to do that if you won't give me a loan to do that? That's a great question. And what a lot of people have to end up doing is, working for a builder or partnering up with somebody to, somebody who has the experience to be able to get a loan, somebody that the bank would give a construction loan to, somebody who's an experienced builder, so that you could then go back and say, okay, look, we did these 5 homes together. Or they may just want to see that you have experience in the home building industry. And the only way to get that would be, partnering up with a builder or working for a builder. Now, the other challenge when it comes to financing is not only finding the bank that is going to work with you, and that definitely is a big challenge. I mean, I would say don't give up, don't get discouraged if you just go and talk with one lender and they say, yeah, no, we're not interested in doing that, because we, as an experienced, seasoned builder that have built hundreds of homes, can't even get a spec loan from certain banks. There are just certain banks that do not want to do spec home loans. There are really only a couple in our area that do that. So that's part of the other, problem that you may experience with that. Number one, when you're looking for a bank, it's best to try to find a small and local bank. They are going to be the most, prone to doing construction loans. And you can find out if a bank does construction loans, they'll advertise it. If somebody's going to have a home built with a builder, this particular bank does construction loans, well, you know that would be one you could at least talk to and explore. But you may need to talk to a lot of banks before you find one that wants to work with you, and before you find one that's going to offer you terms that you're okay with. So that's just a hurdle to keep in mind. Now, in addition to finding the lender, you are going to have a fair amount of money on hand. So most banks are going to require, 20 to 25% of whatever the building cost is going to be. So if you put together a budget, you've got a blueprint, you've got it priced out, you put together the budget breakdown for the bank is going to do an appraisal on the blueprint and what the overall price is. And they're basically going to say, okay, we'll lend you up to X amount of dollars based upon the appraisal. So if the house doesn't end up appraising for the same amount that you need to borrow, you're going to have to come up with additional money. And that's also something that's been an issue. We just experienced that same thing because we're, like I said, every year it's 10% more to build a home. Well, the home that we're going to be starting this year in the next month and got priced out and got numbers back together, we put everything together, sent it to the bank, and there's really no comparables in our area to support what the building costs and the sales price is going to be. And that's because anything that was built and sold, even if it was a spec home, even if this home today I'm sitting in, we sell, this was built a year ago. So the building cost is less, the sales price is going to be less, but certainly for existing homes that have been built 1, 2, 3, 4, however many years in the past, those homes are selling for much less than what it would cost to build something like that new today. So that's also a hurdle, because that's additional money that you're going to have to come up with. So that kind of goes into, the 25% down. And then if there is a difference between what you're looking to borrow and what the appraised value is, that's something that you have to cover as well. And then purchasing a lot would be part of that. Now, maybe you own a lot, or you own some land, or you purchase land and you have it paid off. That can go towards the 20 to 25% that the bank would require as a down payment. That's kind of like collateral that the bank looks at and says, okay, you own the land free and clear. If something happens during the building process and we don't get our money back, or the house never sells, we at least have the land as collateral. And that is the issue with the bank. I mean, that's really the only reason why a bank is not wanting to do a loan for somebody to build a spec home, because they look at it as, okay, it's too much risk for us. What if this person doesn't know how to build the house, and they don't build it properly, and it doesn't pass inspection, and it can't sell? Or what if they get ripped off by a subcontractor, and they can't, they don't have enough money to finish the build? What if, all these different scenarios. But those are reasons and risks that the bank looks at and says, okay, I don't want to do a spec construction loan. So those are, hurdles that you're going to have to overcome. So that's the financing, long and short, is number one, finding a lender to work with you to do the spec home loan. And then number two, having enough cash on hand so that you're able to put down what the bank is going to require. Now, in addition to that, you do still need to have money available while the home is being built. When you get a construction loan, you're going to be able to draw from the loan. Once you close on the loan, all of the funds are going to go into an escrow account, either at the bank or at a title company. And as work gets done on the house, you're going to be able to draw from that account 4 to 5 times. So you can't just take money out of there whenever you need it to pay for certain things. So if we're building in Wisconsin here, and we have a foundation that we're putting in because we're digging a basement. So we've got the basement foundation, and then we are going to backfill the foundation. We're going to put steel down over top of the foundation to set our framing joists there. Once we backfill the foundation, that's typically when we will go in and take the first draw to pay those contractors that have done work. Now, in between the time that the hole was dug and the steel is set, you could easily have a month there. So the excavator who dug the hole right away, depending on your relationship with him or what your agreement is with him, maybe that's somebody that you need to pay right away. And you're not going to be able to do that unless you have some cash on hand. Now, let's say this scenario, that's the case. You've got to pay the excavator, half of what he's done so far. He still has some finished things that he needs to do there, but you're going to pay him, $5,000 for the work that he's done so far. That's just the agreement you have with him in order for him to come out when you needed him to come out and hit the price that you wanted him to hit. So you're going to pay him $5,000. So you're going to pay him $5,000 out of pocket. And then when you go to take that first draw after the steel has been set, then you can reimburse yourself. So you're going to have cash on hand to be able to pay for certain things before you're able to take the draw. If you got to order something, you're going to have to pay for that, and you may not be able to reimburse yourself until you take the next draw. So you do have to have cash on hand, but you will be able to, pay yourself back throughout the building process. Now, as far as, what is a good amount of cash on hand to have, I mean, ideally, not that you can't figure things out and float things and work things out, but I mean, I guess an ideal number would be, $35,000. And it can vary depending on the house, on the scenario, but and you can certainly, like, don't let that hold you back from starting, because a lot of contractors in the industry, they understand that you as the builder are a lot of times not making payments until you take a draw. So if you're getting the house bid out and you just aren't going to have, $35,000 or $20,000 on hand, you just really want to get this going, you can make clear to the contractors that you're working with, hey, look, you're going to get paid, but I will not be able to pay you for the work that you've done until I get the draw, until I can draw from the escrow account and pay you. So you may finish framing the house, but I may not be able to pay you for another few weeks after that. Is that okay? They may say no, you may have to figure something out. There are certain contractors that, framers, for example, a lot of framers like to pay their guys, the head framer likes to pay his guys every week. So cash flow is important for the framer. So if you're able to have cash on hand or figure something out to be able to take care of some of the contractors, not all of them, but there are some that kind of rely on that and rely on being paid right after the work is done. And the advantage to doing that is you're going to get, you're going to be able to get the, more options as far as the framer that you're going to use, because there may be some framers that just, they're not going to do it unless they get paid right after. And if you're not going to have the money to pay them, you won't be able to use them as a framer. So that's just something to keep in mind. So you've got financing, the money that's going to be needed with that, and then also the money that's going to be needed just for paying things throughout the build before you're able to take a draw and reimburse yourself. The next hurdle is something that money can't fix. Maybe it can, but you don't want to pay too much for this. So the next hurdle that you're going to have, especially as a new, person in the building industry, becoming a home builder or building a spec home, you've never worked with the plumber that you're going to be using. You've never worked with the electrician or the framer that you're going to be using to build the home. So you don't know if they're going to be good or not. You don't know if they're going to do what they tell you they're going to do in the amount of time that they tell you they're going to do it. You don't know until you've actually used them what type of an experience you're going to have with them. So that's definitely something that is just a learning curve. Until you, and so many clients, which, by the way, I do offer a service, membership service, coaching service, kind of all in one, and I've got a few different packages with that, and I'll put the details in the description below. But a lot of my clients, they do say, boy, I did learn a lot, or I'm learning a lot from the first build, and they're not learning a lot like, oh boy, I'm learning so much, this is so great. It's I'm learning a lot because of the problems that I'm having in the first build. And that's just going to happen with anything that you do in life, right? I mean, you do something for the first time, you don't know how to do, you're going to have problems doing it, you're going to have to figure things out. Part of the reason why you can use my coaching service, because I can help you through that and let you know what to expect, and we can talk about things. But anyways, so that's something you're not going to know. You're not going to realize that, boy, I'm never ever going to use that plumber again until you've completed the house and you know that plumber was just a nightmare to work with. They didn't do what they were going to say. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. They were slow. They weren't dependable. They never answered their phone. You just know that you don't want to work with them anymore. And you know that you're willing to pay a little bit more money to have a better experience with that certain contractor. And that was why in the beginning of this little, hurdle, I said, maybe it's something that money can fix. Because maybe the most expensive plumber out there, the most expensive bid that you got, is going to be amazing. And they know that, they charge for it, they're busy, they don't need your work. But if you pay enough for it. But there's a fine line there. Obviously, you're not going to take the highest bid in every aspect of the build, because then, you're probably not going to make any money on the house, or as much as you should be. So if you take the lowest bid for the plumber, and that's the reason why you took it, is because it was the lowest bid, and then you find out once you're done with the building process that it stunk, well then, now you know that you're going to do something different. You learned something. You learned that you're not just going to take the lowest bid because it's the lowest bid. You learned that you get what you pay for, like anything in life. It seems like when you're building a home, and whether you're building a home as a customer that's having a builder build it, whether you're building a spec home, and I guess it depends on the price point market for the spec home, but middle of the road is all, like this countertop, for example. This is not the most inexpensive countertop. This is a matte quartz finish top here. It's not the most expensive countertop. It's not some rare, crazy stone that's $180 per square foot. It's a nice quartz top that is $75 per square foot. It appeals to a lot of people. It's middle of the road, and we get what we pay for. It looks nice. It didn't break the bank. We need to sell this home because this is a model/spec home, so we want to put finishes into the home that are, middle of the road. We're not going to use the most expensive cabinet in this house because we won't get that back out of the sales price. And that's something that you'll maybe learn and have a learning curve, and that'll be another one of those things that you learn throughout the building process. But I'm telling you that up front, the contractors, you really can't control that. You don't know until you start working with them and you get through the process. You don't know how they're going to be. As far as picking finishes from the home, I'm going to tell you, don't pick the most expensive stuff just because you think it looks awesome and you want the house to be amazing. That's great, but at the same time, you're building this home to be able to sell it. And then too, when you're marketing to people, depending on who you want to market to, you don't want to overprice your home. If you're going to be marketing to people that are in the middle of the road price point, which nowadays is, $500,000 to $600,000, at least in our market. Sounds crazy to say, but it is true. That's that's not a small home. It's not a huge home. That's like a 2,000 square foot home. And actually 500 is probably on the low end. But again, you want to be using finishes that are going to, kind of represent what they're able to pick. So if you build a house and you've got all these crazy high-end finishes in there, and you've got this home in a neighborhood where the homes are, $650 and the home build was, $575 to build, and people are coming in and they can't really pick any of the stuff that you have in your model because it's going to make the house go out of the price point. That's just something that, that you want to think about. So that's something that, again, during the build, if you keep middle of the road with things, you're usually pretty safe there. Another hurdle is going to be the time consumption of doing everything. If you're going to be building a spec home for the first time, or an aspiring builder, you most likely have another job, and this is something that you're going to have to do on the side until you get enough momentum with this to be able to stop what you're doing full time now. So that's definitely a hurdle because there's only so much time in a day, and depending on what type of family you have, and if you've got kids, it can definitely be difficult to do that. And I guess the hurdle is, realizing up front that it's going to take a lot of time. Even before the house gets started, there's going to be a lot of time in which you are putting the budget together, where you're getting the plan bid out. There's going to be a lot of time in which you're trying to find contractors. There's going to be a lot of time in, getting that initial survey work done. And if it's in a homeowners association, the neighborhood is where you're going to be building, you're going to have time putting things together that they need. There's going to be time filling out the building permit application. There's time filling out information that the bank needs. So this is all stuff that's happened even before the home build starts. And then, of course, while the home build starts, ideally you're at the house every day. And you're the one that the contractors are calling if there's an issue, if they don't understand something on the print, if there's material short at the home, you're the one running the job. So that's just something to, you know, be aware of. It's better to know these things going into it so that it's not a surprise. Like, oh man, I thought I could, you know, spend a half hour a day and, you know, build this first spec home, sell it, and be on my way. It won't really happen like that. You're gonna have to put in a little more time than that. And that's one of those things too, you're gonna learn throughout the build what you like and don't like to do. Because eventually the goal is you get to a point where you could maybe hire somebody and bring somebody on. You're gonna, if you're successful with this and you're gonna continue to do it, all of a sudden you're gonna have 1, 2, maybe 3 homes under construction at a time. Maybe one's a spec home, maybe 2 are spec homes, one's a customer home, whatever that looks like. Now all of a sudden, that's pretty much a full-time job. And you are probably gonna be able to make enough off of those 3 homes, depending on what you do, to be able to leave what you're doing and have this become your full-time gig, if that's what you want. But it would be nice to, you know, you want to spend time with the family. You don't want to be completely married to work, depending on your scenario. You know, if you're single and you're young and you don't have a family yet, then work your butt off now. Be married to it now. Build it up. So that way, when you do get a little bit older, when you get married, you have kids, whatever, you're able, you've already got something built up. You're making enough money to where you can bring somebody on. But what's going to happen, and maybe not from the first build or the second build, or I don't know, maybe not even the third, but you'll probably get some type of an inkling going through the first home build as to what you do like to do and don't like to do. Like maybe you enjoyed, bidding out the house and talking to the contractors on the phone and scheduling them, as opposed to actually being at the house and getting calls from them when they're at the house and having to go run and get things and, cleaning in the house. Maybe you're painting the first house because, you're just starting off, you're trying to save money. So you're covering the floors, you're doing certain things. So you may say at the end of this one, I'd be willing to make a little bit less money and have somebody come in to paint and have somebody come in to cover the floors. And then again, you get to a certain point where you'd say, okay, I'm making enough money right now. I'd be willing to take some of that and put that into somebody like a project manager or somebody that can assist me and somebody that could go to the job sites every day and just check in with the contractors, see if they need something. If they do, they can run and get it. All the important questions are going to come back to you, because if there's ever a decision that is going to require if there's ever a decision that involves spending money to make a decision, that's something that you as the owner need to make, not your assistant. But it would be nice to be able to have somebody like that to offload some of the work and time. And that's something just a little bit further down the road. So those are some of the hurdles that popped into my head before I decided to make the first video that I've made in months. And I'm gonna keep them flowing here, get more consistent with making videos. Again, check out in the description below my membership coaching services. There's lots of good stuff there, which we'll actually be doing a group Zoom call next week, which is a Q&A session where we kind of wrap back and forth and get lots of different questions. And I do actually record those and I put them into the membership coaching service. Part of the service is an entire video library of videos that are not here on YouTube and are super specific and detailed step-by-step on how to build the spec home and a lot of other things. So thank you so much. It was great to be back with you. I know nobody's actually here with me right now, but I know some of you are going to be watching when I upload this, and I'm really happy to be back out there with you. Please comment and let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you, and God bless.